Alright, so the title of this video is called Will Pornography Ever Stop? So that's the title of the video. I'm also going to speak about pornography in general. In a way, this is a continuation to the recent video I made about pornography addiction. I want to just share some more of my thoughts about pornography and about the society, and basically how the society is changing so drastically in recent years, mainly because of the internet. So there's a lot of new inventions in recent times, such as the internet and the cell phone and things like that. It's really changed a lot of things as far as the way that we communicate with people. Alright, so as far as the question, will pornography ever stop? I don't think it will. I think pornography has always been a part of our lives since the human being has been in existence. But the degree of the addiction, or the degree of the access to pornography in recent times is really changed it has really been a drastic change. So, before, back in the day, before the internet, people would have to go to like 7-Eleven or certain stores to buy like dirty magazines. Oh, they call them dirty magazines, but like these pornographic magazines. And they would have to go into these video stores to rent out these pornographic movies, and it takes a lot of courage to go in there and actually rent a video. Like you're pretty much like worried about who's looking at you and things like that, and the person that's renting the video out to you, he has to make sure that you're of age. He could really get in some severe trouble from law enforcement or whoever if he rents out adult videos to children. So it was a lot harder to get access to pornography than it is today. But now you see how things have changed. All these video stores pretty much have gone out of business. Even the big name video store Blockbuster, all of them went out of business pretty much. Hollywood Video, they all went out of business. All these video places are going out of business, and because of the internet. The internet has like this streaming videos online, and the low cost of DVDs. People aren't even going to rent videos anymore. So when it comes to pornography, people have pretty much unlimited access to pornography at all times of the day, as long as they have access to the internet. People even have internet on their phones now. They got it on their tablets. They have it everywhere they go. Like 24 hours a day, they have access to the internet. So basically 24 hours a day, they have access to pornography. And I know that pornography is like $1 billion industry, and basically a majority of the internet use is for the use of pornography. So pornography is not going to stop, and that's something, as long as the internet is here, it's going to be rampant the way that it is. But as far as how far it has gotten, I don't see how it could go any farther, because people already have like so much access to it that it's just there's really no more that you could go. There's nothing more than people could get. They have unlimited videos, they have unlimited pictures. So basically what we're seeing right now is just a time period where we're pretty much at a level of dealing and coping with this situation, and if we're able to deal with the situation the way that it is currently, I think things can be better understood, and we could kind of work around how this world has changed. But in a way, I also see pornography entering into mainstream media a lot too. Like in a lot of these movies, you know, it gets pretty graphic. I mean, a lot of these movies that I've seen, for example, it's like they have to show a man's penis in order to get people to laugh. I mean, it's getting to the point where they're resulting, you know, they're basically depending on like extreme measures of like pornographic scenes in order to get people to react, in order to laugh, you know. And that's pretty drastic that I see, you know, because even the porn industry is having quite an effect in Hollywood. And also with even singers, like that one music video from Miley Cyrus called Wrecking Ball, for example. It was almost like watching a porn video. I mean, that's how naked she was throughout the entire video. And there's a big thing about her dancing on stage and rubbing her ass cheeks against some guy's penis and dancing extremely provocative. So it's like the pornography scene is kind of creeping into the mainstream music and the mainstream Hollywood. And in a way, that could be a concern, because like keeping pornography away from children, it's already difficult enough with the internet. You know, it's already difficult enough to keep the children away from pornography with, you know, this, you know, unlimited access to the internet. But if pornography pretty much goes into the mainstream Hollywood and the music, it makes it just even more difficult for parents to kind of try to shield their children away from this pornography. Basically what it ends up happening is the people, the children, and just the adults in general, the human beings, are becoming like highly sexualized by watching a lot of pornography. Now, this can be a problem when it leads to addiction and things of where it leads to unhealthy like way of living, you know. But depending on the person, watching pornography in a way can be used as a way to, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be an unhealthy expression. It could turn into something where it can be healthy for a human being. But as like in any sort of addictions, there has to be a balance. You know, people that go too far with it, you know, it's like basically like eating too much candy. You know, it could lead to a lot of unhealthiness. You know, so now another thing that I was thinking about is who is to blame for all this? You know, now the people that invented the internet, you could try to blame them, but it's not really their fault. The people that invented the internet just basically allowed human beings to have like greater communication amongst one another. So you can't really put the blame into the people that invented the internet, but basically the woman can be blamed for participating in this behavior. But it's not going to stop. There's always going to be women out there that are willing to sell their bodies and perform these type of sexual acts for money. And some of them even do it for no money. They just like doing it. That can't be stopped. But whether or not a woman wants to participate and become a part of this herself, it's up to her. And even though there are women out there that do this, it doesn't mean that every single woman out there has to participate in this. Basically, the less women that participate in this, the more that it will kind of help resolve, you know, in a way, potentially minimize the negative effects of pornography. But like I said, there's always going to be women out there that participate. So it's not going to stop completely, but if less women participate in it, then it could just minimize the negative effects. It's like basically people that become vegetarian. Like, you could decide not to eat meat, and your choice alone can help, like, to help stop or help minimize, like, the abuse of animals and the killing of animals. But it's not going to stop the killing of animals completely. It could just minimize it. So it's the world is never going to be a place where there's not going to be meat available. But the less people that eat meat, then the people, the farmers will not have to slaughter as many animals. So basically, the less women that participate in pornography, it could, in a way, help minimize the negative effects of what pornography can do for the society. Alright, so the women can be blamed, and also the men, obviously, the consumers of, mainly the men are the main consumers of pornography, are the ones that always get blamed. Especially from all women, they always blame the man for watching pornography. So the consumer can be blamed as well. So the participants, which are the women, can be blamed, and then the consumers can be blamed. Now, being a consumer is an individual decision that you have. If you're a single man and there's no, basically, even if you aren't a single man, the fact of the matter is, it is your body, and you should have the right to do what you want to do with your body, as long as it's within the confines of the law, and as long as you're not hurting other people around you. But at the same time, being a consumer of pornography encourages the business to be in existence, and further exploitation of women for, to develop this pornographic material. But in the same token, women have the freedom to participate in this type of activity. It is their bodies, and some of them actually enjoy participating in these activities. So there are women that actually enjoy participating in these activities, and then the men, the consumers, are the ones that are encouraging this type of activity to continue. Now, is it wrong to be a consumer of pornography? Well, it's based upon, how you were raised and what you believe in and what you think is negative or positive about it. But, as human beings, we are drawn to sexuality, and in an ideal world, we're supposed to connect with other human beings on a real level, like directly, face to face, and experience, like, deep intimacy, like, directly, without needing to be dependent on pornographic images. That's the ideal world. But we don't live in an ideal world. We live in a world where there's a lot of sexual repression. And because of the sexual repression, it pretty much leads to pornography. We live in a world where, like, it's just, conditioned through so many years and centuries for us to be, like, ashamed of being sexually expressive. And that's pretty much why the pornography exists. And as long as there's sexual repression in this world, which I don't see it ever changing to be otherwise, then pornography will always be a huge part of our society. And I don't think the world can be fixed to be non-sexually repressive. I think that can only happen on an individual basis. But even so, if the majority of the people are sexually repressed, and everybody's so focused on consuming pornography, this just becomes like the reality of the world that we live in right now. And I think that men and women just have to learn to accept this reality. You know, like, rather than blaming the woman for participating in it or blaming the men for consuming it, I don't think that we should blame either. It's just clearly a situation where, as adults, we have the freedom of choice to determine, what we wish to do with our bodies. And the men and women just have to realize that, hey, this is the reality, and they have to work around it. Find a way to work around it. I mean, that's the only thing that I see that we can do. Some men may be able to stop watching it altogether. Some men may consciously make that decision to just stop watching it. Some men may make the conscious decision to just to stop masturbating or to try to stop masturbating. But it's up to it's their own individual decision. I don't think that a woman should come into the picture and dictate what a man should or should not do in regards to masturbation or in regards to watching pornography. It's something that it should be a conscious decision from himself, and the woman should be supportive of his decision. If the woman, she should not be for or against him watching pornography. She should simply allow him to make that decision on his own and to be supportive of that. If the man feels that, hey, watching pornography is distracting the relationship and it's not helping me progress as a human being, then he could decide to stop watching it. And with the support of his woman, it's going to make it easier for him to basically stop that behavior. But if he decides that, what, it is enhancing my sexual expression, and I feel that it, he actually feels that it can enhance his relationship, then I believe the woman should be supportive of that. I feel that even though it can really, it could bring a lot of insecurity into a woman and make her feel that she's not good enough, or make her feel like feelings of pain and emotion. It's something that she needs to deal with to basically learn to overcome. Because the fact of the matter is, the way that I see it, is that there is no man out there that's going to be able to completely refrain from watching pornography unless he becomes celibate. And if he becomes celibate, then there is no need to be engaged in any type of sexual relations with a woman in any way. So he basically just steps out of the entire picture altogether. He doesn't watch pornography and he doesn't date either. But if you have a man that dates a woman, that already shows that he has sexual urges that needs to be expressed, And with that, it will automatically lead towards the desire towards pornography as well. And the women need to understand this. And they need to learn to see that, hey, you know, as long as this man does not, you know, bring his sexual desires out into the real world with real women, she needs to learn to accept the pornography and the images and with the internet as something that they can work with and work around with, rather than like trying to force the man to basically be a false person, you know, and have to lie to the woman and hide, you know, his desire towards pornography from the woman. It does not lead towards any real relationship, you know. I was thinking about it as well, is that we have 5 senses, you know, and pornography will only satisfy, they won't even satisfy, but it only allows a man to have visual and, you know, audible senses that are activated. But it does not activate the sense of taste, touch, and smell. So basically, the human being finds an immense amount of joy and pleasure when his 5 senses are being engaged. You know, when his 5 senses are engaged, that's when he's going to feel an immense amount of pleasure. And pornography only satisfies a percentage of only 2 of the senses. So no matter what, the man, if he learns to be in the moment, if he learns to be a meditative person, he can learn to activate all 5 senses in his daily activities in life. And basically, when he's involved and engaged in the sexual intimacy for real with the woman, there is no pornography that could ever replace that. You know, so men will always desire like real sex with women more than they do just pornography. What ends up happening is that when men engage in real sex with women and they are not in the moment and they're not being meditative and they're not really connecting with the woman at a deep level, they end up finding more joy in pornography because they're not engaged with the woman that's in real life. So men basically have to learn to be more engaged in real life with the real woman. But in the same token, sex with the real woman is an activity that requires 2 individuals to be participating. Not just 1, but 2. So basically, a man that's having sex with the real woman, but she's not engaged, say she fell asleep or she's just not even paying attention, and he's having sex with her, it's almost in a way similar to just masturbating. It's not anything that's really that fulfilling compared to like 2 participants fully engaged in the moment, enjoying that sexual activity in full awareness. So basically, what ends up the highest level of intimacy and pleasure are when 2 individuals are fully engaged. But if one person is not fully engaged, or even 2 people are not fully engaged, that's when a pornography becomes an appeal. But even with that appeal, women need to understand that men will always still desire to be fully engaged in real sex with the real woman. So they have to understand that they should not become too insecure with pornography, because pornography cannot replace the real like act of real sex. You know, and this woman basically can learn to accept, you know, pornography as something that this world, that it's always going to be here. You know, as long as the internet is here, this is going to be a reality for every single man out there. So basically, if she chooses to engage in a relationship with a man, she should pretty much expect that this man watches pornography and he enjoys pornography. She should expect that before even entering in a relationship with the man. And then she should learn how to be a participant with this activity with the man, so then he does not feel that he needs to hide it from her. She should actually encourage him to basically share that experience with her so they could have that experience together. I believe that way it will enhance the relationship. So then the man will not have to feel like he has to hide from the woman, that he has to hide the pornography from the woman. He will either have sex with the woman without pornography or with pornography, and in both cases he's having sex with the woman, and he doesn't even need to masturbate, you know, at all, because he's always with this woman. With the pornography or without it, he's with this woman, and the woman is always there, like being an active participant, with the pornography or without it. And she could always learn to try to enjoy, like, the pornography as well, to basically find some benefit to it. You know, the pornography, for example, may help, it may be in a way serve to be like a more natural and healthier form of a Viagra for the man and the woman. So meaning, without the pornography, the couple might just have sex once a day. With the pornography, they might have sex 10 times a day, simply because the pornography is activating certain, like, feelings of lust that would not be activated without it. And that lust basically can enhance the relationship and just basically turn it into an immense amount of pleasure between the couple, and just basically just enjoying that experience over and over again together. You know, so I see that pornography can enhance a relationship, but it really has to deal with the woman and having her learn to accept it and not to deny it. Because the more that she denies it, the more that she's denying reality. It's almost like denying that death exists, or denying that, you know, that there's no such thing, you know, as divorce. You know, I mean, or just basically denying reality. Like, they need to look at the situation, the reality for what it is, and just accept it and be like, this is how it is. Realize that every single man out there that's engaged, that is sexually active, will always have desire for pornography. They need to just see that fact and accept that fact, and then learn how to use that as a tool, use pornography as a tool to enhance the relations with the man. Because essentially, if the woman learns to accept pornography and use it as a tool to benefit their relationship, I feel that it will drastically decrease the chances of the man engaging in sexual relations with another real woman. outside of that primary relationship. Basically, it will decrease the chances of an affair or of like a man cheating with the real woman. Because basically, the pornography serves to be that changing variable, or that little bit of extra excitement that the man always yearns for, no matter how much sex he's getting from his partner. There's always that little extra variety that he has a desire for, and pornography can basically satisfy that extra little desire, and then he will have, be less likely to want to go outside of the relationship to seek for something extra. So that's essentially, I see what to be the solution. What is the solution? As far as pornography stopping altogether, I just do not see it happening. Like women, there could be a lot of women that oppose pornography, but regardless of how many women oppose it, there will always be women that will promote it and participate in it, and that cannot be stopped. So pornography, the business, will not shut down. The only way that things can change drastically is if the government shuts down the internet. Then it will change things drastically. Then men will have less access to pornography, a lot less access. And with a lot less access to pornography, there will not be as many men that are as addicted to it. And there are not going to be as many men that watch it. But until that happens, this is the reality that we're dealing with here. Unlimited access to pornography as long as the internet is here, and basically how to deal with this and cope with this as a woman. As a man, I think it's very important for the man, if he becomes more serious with the woman, he has to decide how important pornography is in his life. And then he needs to see how his woman feels about it, and how much it affects her, and whether or not she could handle, like knowing the truth of his desire towards it. And he has to basically be smart to see if he should communicate this truth to this woman, at the right time. And basically see, basically make the decision. Is he willing to stop watching pornography if this woman requests for him to stop watching? And if he is willing, can he even do it? If it's even possible for him to stop. And if that's even a realistic goal. If he's not willing to stop, and the woman is not willing to accept that this man from watching pornography, then it needs to be clearly communicated, in a mature way. But the woman have to realize that if she leaves this man for watching pornography, she'll never find another man. She'll never find a man out there that does not enjoy pornography. She'll never. It just will not happen unless he's a celibate. And if he's a celibate, he's not even be interested in engaging any sort of relationship with a woman to begin with. So basically what I'm basically saying is that a woman that expects a man to stop watching pornography completely, it is an unreasonable and unrealistic requirement for a man. It's just something that cannot happen in my eyes. You know, women that think in this manner and are in a relationship with a man, they pretty much cannot get deep with the man, because the man will always have to pretty much lie to the woman to tell her what she wants to hear, or just hide certain facts from her to keep her happy, and not knowing the real truth. But this doesn't encourage a strong relationship based on truth. It's just basically feeding into a woman's inability to cope with reality. But basically, the man has to determine, if he wants to stop, he can stop. It's kind of like, being addicted to, not addicted, but you enjoy eating chocolate and then deciding to never eat chocolate again in your entire life. It can be done, but it's going to be difficult, but it can be done. It's kind of similar to, maybe drinking alcohol. Say you start drinking alcohol early as a young child. You've been drinking alcohol for 20 years. And then you decide, then you make the decision to stop completely. It can be done. It's like making the decision to be a vegetarian, to stop eating meat for the rest of your life. It can be done. So men can make the decision to stop watching pornography. They can. It can be done. But the lust will just come in another form. So rather than watching pornography, he watches a movie and then he gets turned on from the woman in the movie, which is not too different than pornography. Or, he's standing in line at the grocery store, he sees a magazine with a woman that's like half naked. It's not too different from pornography. He gets turned on from that magazine just by looking at it. Or he sees women on the streets and he sees a woman that's dressed a certain way and he gets turned on by this woman. It's not too different from pornography. So basically, no matter how hard the woman try to get the man to stop this type of lustful behavior, it cannot be completely stopped. The woman just needs to learn to understand it and learn to help the man redirect this energy, to a way where it will enhance the relationship rather than destroy it. So I guess my main thing, when I'm communicating, is just trying to help the woman understand the man's perspective in this. But as far as understanding the woman's perspective, it is a difficult, extremely difficult situation. But as I stated, this is the world that we live in. And it's something that we have to learn to deal with. And the man, the woman have to work extremely hard in order to keep the man constantly desiring the woman. She needs to keep herself, she needs to take very good care of herself and keep herself in top of her game at all times. And that will all, just increases the chance of the man staying like more focused on the relationship and more appreciative of the relationship. She needs to constantly put effort to better herself and to stay on top of her game. You know, as far as like constantly putting that effort to attract her man. You know, to be in a way like better than any porn star out there. Like she needs to constantly put that effort, and that's what will make the man like have less desire for other women in general. Is because he just realizes and knows that this is the best woman he could ever get. And that takes a lot of effort on the woman's part. Just staying on top of her game and everything. Like making sure that she's at her best at all times. Like physically, mentally, spiritually, everything. And then it makes the man just feel that, you know what, there's no other woman I want anyway. And I'm willing to do what it takes to keep this lady. Because she's worth it. You know, so if the woman is on top of her game at all times, then it's going to keep the man committed. You know, and less likely to do something stupid. That's just the reality of it. And it's not easy because obviously there's a lot to compete with. Because you got all these women all over the internet that are making these men have like extremely high expectations. But it just increases the competition and makes it the competition. It makes the expectations and the standards to a much higher level. You know, just think about it, like competing in the game of chess with your schoolmates in your own high school. Compare that to competing in the game of chess with the entire world on the internet. How much more difficult it will be to be considered one of the best. Compared from your high school to the entire world online. That's kind of what the women are going through right now. It's like competing with their beauty, not just with the people around, but all the women all over the internet as well. And that's a lot to expect. And it's very overwhelming. But you know, as I stated, you know, this can be a motivation for the woman to stay on top of the game, to keep the man constantly interested. You know, because these porn stars can't cook for a man, they can't clean for a man. These porn stars cannot, massage the man. They can't give the man oral sex. They can't give him real sex. They can't hug the man. They can't kiss the man. There's a lot of damn things these women online cannot do for the man. So basically, the women that really want to keep their men and basically discourage them from being attracted to other women on the streets or other women on the internet, they just need to stay on top of the game, you know, and constantly put the effort to be the best that they can be.